to Needy Cat Crafts. I used medium weight yarn for this project in the following colors, as well as circular needles and double pointed needles in the size 5.5 millimeters. Feel free to customize this hat with whatever colors you would like. Let's begin with a long tail cast on. I just pull a really long tail from the skein and put a slip knot on my circular needles. From here, hold on to both strands like this, and then separate them with your thumb and pointer finger like this. Rotate your hand, and then go under the left strand on the thumb, over the left strand on your pointer finger, and then through the hole. Once again, under this one, over that one, pull through the hole. Oh, and here I added a nice little slow-mo. So we're going under that left strand, over that one, and then pulling through the hole. And look, now we have 4 stitches on our needle. Continue the long tail cast on until we have 81 stitches total. Here is my tail, and here's my working yarn. Notice all of these stitches here are pointed towards the center and not twisted. This is very important. Next, take that first stitch on the left needle and slip it onto the right needle, and then locate that now second stitch on your right needle, and you're going to pull it over and off of the needle. Just like this. Pull your strings to tighten them just a little bit. Now, I don't have any fancy stitch markers with me right now, so I'm just using a scrap piece of yarn, which works just as well. And for the ribbing on the brim, all we're doing is knitting 2 and then purling 2. And that's all there is for the brim. Knit 2, purl 2. I think it's called 2x2 ribbing. I'm not like an expert knitter, but I feel like I've heard that somewhere. Continue this pattern all the way around, knit 2, purl 2, until you've completed 30 rows. Now the brim may seem really long, but that's okay because it will be folded up. If you don't want a foldable brim, instead of doing 30 rows, just do 15. Now we can move on to the body of the hat. I want to attach the new color in a way where you can't see where the new color starts. To do that, slip 1 stitch from the right needle onto the left, and then grab your new color, drape it onto the needle with the tail pointing down, so we kind of went under and then over. Slip that stitch back onto the right needle. I'm moving my stitch marker over, and then before I begin with the new color, I just want to show I'm kind of holding the 2 tails with my right hand, just to keep them a little bit tight. It'll be much easier to knit the first round of the new color. I like to hold on to the tails just for a few stitches, and then I can let it go as I continue in the round. Here we are coming around to the end of the first row with the new color. Here's where we started, where we added the new color. And I'm just kind of holding the tails with my left hand this time, and then knitting them together. Pull those tails just a little bit tight. Move your stitch marker over, and then continue knitting in the round, also known as stockinette stitch. We want to complete 20 rows for the body of the hat. Stockinette stitch is perfect here because we want nice flat fabric and visible V-stitches when we begin adding the pattern. Before we finish the top of the hat, we are going to add the duplicate stitches to the body of the hat. I like to move my stitches onto a scrap piece of yarn just to keep the stitches all together. I don't want them sliding off of the needles. I also find it helpful to have the top part of the hat open while I am doing my duplicate stitches. Duplicate stitch is an embroidery technique used to add designs or lettering to knitted fabric. For a new knitter, this can be easier than color work. If you look closely here, you will see V-stitches going up and down the fabric. Here is the bottom of the V, and you can follow the yarn as it wraps around the stitch above it. Here is the new color yarn on a tapestry needle, and it's about the length of my arms stretched out. And now I am locating the third row where I will begin the lettering. You can start the lettering any row that you would like to. I just like how it looks when it starts on the third row. I have included the lettering at the top of the screen, and each box represents a stitch. I am starting at the very bottom right of the E. Here, my needle is inserted through the inside of the hat and at the very bottom of the V stitch. Pull the yarn until there's a short tail on the inside. Follow the right part of the V and insert your needle at the top of it. Then pull your needle through the other side and down the other part of the V. Insert your needle into the bottom of the V-stitch to complete the first duplicate stitch. I like to work vertically, so if we look at the letter E, we need another stitch above this one. Insert the needle through the bottom of the next V-stitch above the first one we made. Notice how it looks like it's in the middle of the previous stitch. Follow the V-stitch to the right, insert your needle, and bring it back through and down the other side of the V-stitch. Insert your needle once again into the bottom of the V-stitch, and that completes our second duplicate stitch. Next, we want to skip a stitch and move on to the middle line of the E. So insert your needle through the bottom of the V-stitch. This time, move your needle behind the two legs of the V above the stitch that we're working on. This is just a faster way of making that duplicate stitch. And here it is again. Insert your needle. Bring your needle up and behind the two legs of the V-stitch above the one that we're working on. Insert your needle back at the bottom of the V-stitch. Skip a stitch and finish the very right part of the E by completing 2 more duplicate stitches. And here most of the pattern is complete except for the first pea and pumpkin. So here I am fast forwarding just to make it go a little quicker. I'll complete 4 duplicate stitches along the right side of that first pea and pumpkin. You want to make sure that your yarn isn't too tight, isn't too loose, and also make sure that your yarn stays relaxed. Like I said previously, I like to work duplicate stitches vertically from bottom to top. So when I'm finished with these 4 stitches, I will go back down to the bottom and keep working on the pea and the next row over from bottom to top. When you're done with your lettering, put your stitches back on your circular needles and we will begin the top part of the hat. Grab the first yarn color that we used for the brim of the hat and attach it the same way as when we added the second color to the body. So moving 1 stitch to the left needle and then gently draping the new color around the needle, shifting the stitch back over and then knitting all of row 1. When we get to the end of row 1, same as before, we want to knit those 2 stitches together. Row 2 will start the decreases. So to start row 2, we want to knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then knit 2 together. Knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and knit 2 together. Round 3, knit all stitches. Row 4, knit 5 and then knit 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then knit 2 together. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, knit 2 together. Row 5, we want to knit all stitches. Row 6, knit 4 and then knit 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 2 together. Row 7, knit all stitches. Row 8, knit 3, knit 2 together. 1, 2, 3, knit 2 together. Row 9, knit all stitches. Row 10 is when I will switch to my DPNs because the circular needles are getting a little too long. And here I will only be using 4 of my DPNs. They usually come in a pack of 5. And I don't need that stitch marker anymore. So row 10, we will knit 2 and then knit 2 together. 1, 2, knit 2 together. We have 3 stitches on our DPN. 1, 2, knit 2 together. We now have 6 stitches. And then 1, 2, knit 2 together. And there's 9 stitches total on our first DPN. We'll do the same with the second one. We want to continue this pattern of knit 2 together until we have 9 stitches. And then our last DPN will have 12 stitches on it. So we can say goodbye to those circular needles. And I'll show you we have 9 stitches, 9 stitches, and 12 stitches. And hopefully you've caught on to the pattern so far. Row 11, we will be knitting all stitches. Row 12, knit 1 and then knit 2 together. And now we have 6 stitches, and then 8 stitches. And then row 13, knit all stitches. Row 14, which I think is the most difficult row in this whole hat, is knitting 2 together. And then last row, row 15, knit all stitches, which is only 10 stitches. And now all we have to do to finish the hat is cut the yarn, put it on a tapestry needle, and then place all the stitches onto that tapestry needle and onto the tail of the yarn. And then just pull to tighten. Here is the top of the hat. You can see all the nice decreases. Make sure to weave in your ends and enjoy your new hat. I hope you enjoyed making this pattern with me. If you have any questions, please ask me in the comments. See you next time.